Welcome to today's class on classes and objects in Python. So objects in programming are like objects in the real life. Like life, there are different classes of objects. In this notebook, we will create two classes called circle and rectangle. By the end of this notebook, you will have a better idea about what is a class, what an attribute is, and what's a method. Don't worry if you don't get it first time, as much of the terminology is confusing. Don't forget to do practice test in this notebook. Okay, so the table of contents are like introduction to classes and objects, in which we will be creating a class and different instances of a class, objects and attribute. We will see that, and different methods that will be called in the class. Then we will be creating a class and then creating an instance of a circle and the rectangle class. So before proceeding further, let me remind you that it is a part of the course Python for Data Science, uh, offered by IBM Cognitive class, and this is the week 3 basically, programming, Python programming fundamentals. And the lab we are performing is labs, objects and classes. So when you will click object and classes, you will get this kind of screen, and from this screen, when you enter start lab, then you will come to this lab. And from here onward, let's start. Introduction to classes and objects. Creating a class. The first part of creating a class is giving it a name. In this notebook, we will creating two classes, circle and rectangle. We need to determine all the data that make up the class, and we will call that an attribute. Think about this. So we need to determine all the data that make up the class. For example, if we want to make this class like class circle, what kind of data do we need? First of all, for every circle there is a radius, obviously, and the formula of the circle. So main attributes are the radius. It determines the radius is the main attribute of the circle, and obviously within Python we will be giving it a color. So these are the attributes of a class, and the class is circle. This about Think about this step as creating a blueprint that will use to create different objects. Create objects. For example, this is a blue string line with a given different radius. For example, 5 millimeter, and with the red color, we will have a different instance or different type of a circle. And if we give it like 10 millimeter and blue, we will have another instance or different instance of the class. So in figure 1 we see two classes, circle and rectangle. Each has their own attribute. They are variables. The class circle has the attribute radius and color, while the rectangle has the attribute height and width. For example, if you see the rectangle, we have height and width to create a rectangle, and obviously you will be giving it a color. So they are the attributes of the rectangle, or this is the part of the class rectangle. Each has attributes, they are variables. The class circle has the attribute radius and color, while the rectangle has the attribute height and width. Let's use the visual examples of these shapes before we get to the code, as this will help you get accustomed to the vocabulary. Okay, so you can see it visually. So class circle and rectangle, and each has their own attributes. The class circle has attributes radius, color, and rectangle has attribute height and width. Okay, instance of a class, objects and attributes. So an instance of an object is the realization of the class. So instance of an object means like we have like three types of circle over here: so red circle, green circle and yellow circle. So circle was the main class, and within the circle you created three instances. Okay, one instance, second instance and the third instance, as shown in figure 2. See, there are three instances of class circle. We give each object a name. So within class you can categorize this as an object, and there are three instances of the object. We give object a name: red circle, yellow circle and a green circle. Each object has different attributes. So let's focus on the attribute of each. So let's focus on each attribute of each color. Three instances of the class circle, or three objects of the circle. The color attribute of the red circle is color red, the green circle object the color attribute is green, and the yellow circle object the attribute is yellow. And different types of methods can also be used. For example, you created different kind of circles. What are the methods? Methods give you a way to change or interact with the object. So if you want to change an object or interact with the object you created, you will be using method. They are functions that interact with the object. So this is dot add underscore radius 2. This is the method that is used to like create or add the radius to the original one. For example, add radius 2, so the original circle has a radius of 2, and if you add 2 it means that the new circle will be of radius 4. So let's say we would like to increase the radius by a specified amount of a circle. We can create a method called add radius that increases the radius by r. This is shown in figure 3, where after applying the method to the orange circle object, the radius of the object increases accordingly. The dot means to apply the method to the object, and which is essentially applying a function to the information of the object. Okay, dot add radius, applying add radius to the object orange circle object. So you already created this and now you are applying a method. So let's now create a class. So now we are going to create a class circle, but first we are going to import library to draw the objects. So for the drawing of the object you have to import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. You will be referring as plt. This is a Python library to draw the objects, and then you have %matplotlib inline. Okay, so it will invoke the library that will be used to draw the objects. The first step in creating your own class is to use the class keyword, then name of the class as shown in the figure 4. In the course the class parent will always be an object. Okay, so if you want to create a class, first of all you will have to write class definition. You have to write it, it's a standard way. Then the name of the class. Here we are creating circle, so you can write circle. If you are creating rectangle you can write rectangle, and in the parenthesis you write object. So that's mentioned in this course. The class parent will always be an object. Class parent will just be object for this course. So that can be different for different classes, but for this course you will always write object here. Okay, so let's move forward.